Hello and welcome back to Triple Crown Wargaming with me, the Duke, and today we're just going to go through the second wave releases for the Tomb Kings and the Bretonnians that Games Workshop showed off on Sunday just gone, the 25th, if you're not watching this at the time that it was recorded, and these are all going on pre-order. Everything that I'm about to go through and what they showed off in their article and in their little video is all going on pre-order on Saturday the 2nd, and I'm expecting it to be a 1 week pre-order, could be 2 weeks, but expecting it to be a 1 week, so they'll then go on sale and hopefully start to be shipped out on Saturday the 9th. So yeah, really looking forward to that. There's a few pieces in here that I really want to get my hands on. Some new models which they showed off quite a while ago, I want to say back in October time, for the Bretonnians. There's some new models for the Tomb Kings as well. But the ones I'm really interested in personally are the new Bretonnian ones, and also some particularly old Bretonnian models that they're bringing back as well that I want to get my hands on. But I am going to start off with the Tomb Kings, and this Saturday is going to be your first chance to pre-order separately the Tomb King / High Leech Priest on Necrolith Bone Dragon. He's finally out separate. Previously, you could only get him in the army box. Now he is going to be completely separate. A very lovely model, highly detailed. Two sort of build options in there as well. You can also make the king on foot if you go for the leech option on the back of the dragon. The Oracle has just finished painting his with a nice sort of watery oasis looking base. It looks very cool. Go check it out on the channel if you haven't already. It's over on our Instagram, I believe, as well. Definitely check that out. But yeah, going to be your first chance to pre-order this on Saturday. Now, I'll touch on some prices that have been leaked. They are in dollars, so I haven't got an exact pounds equivalent. But I'll touch on those a little bit later. So we'll get back to the price on all of these towards the end. But yeah, lovely model, and I'm sure will be ordered in its thousands, to be honest, very quickly, because I think everyone's looking for one, if not two, of these. Even if you got one in the army box, you probably want the second for the other build option. So yeah, I can see these being very popular. A model which was previously not available at all anywhere, but that they did show off, was Nakaf, Emissary of Setra, one of the special characters for the Tomb King. So he's not a new character rules-wise, but a new character model-wise for the old world. But unfortunately, he can't go on a chariot, but that's another thing. He's a lovely model. He's standing on a little sort of stone pillar, all the scarabs climbing up him, his flail of skulls with his huge scroll, with all of Cetra's titles that he shouts out in his husky undead voice, I'm sure, at the start of every battle. Yeah, an absolutely lovely model. Again, nice for collectors to sort of round out their collections, but also a very nice gaming piece, actually, for a unit. It's a shame he can't go on a chariot, like I said, next to his liege lord, Cetra, but still a lovely model, and I'm sure, again, will be very popular. Again, we'll touch on prices at the end, but he's probably going to be one of the cheapest of the Tomb King releases, being a single model. He won't be super cheap. It does mention that this is going to be Forge World resin. Not a huge shock. I can't remember if they mentioned that it was going to be resin when they sort of first showed off the model a couple of months back maybe. Can't remember, but yeah, they confirmed here anyway that it will be made from Forge World resin. We've also got some very old returning plastics, the Skeleton Warriors and the Skeleton Archers, coming in boxes of 36. And that includes options to build a Standard Bearer, Champion and Musician. It does say multiple, so it does say Standard Bearers, Champions, Musicians. So I'd expect you get two, or options to build two lots of command. That would be my guess, but no actual confirmation of that in the article, unfortunately. But looking at how they're displayed in sort of 2 units of 16, quickly counting them. No, 2 units of 4, 8, 9, yeah, 18. There we go. That's half of 36. That makes a lot more sense. 2 units of 18. I'd guess you get to command, lots of command in there as well. Some more old plastics. You've got the Skeleton Horsemen, which are either horsemen or horse archers. and which come in a box of 16, very big box for them, and a box of 3 skeleton chariots. Again, you can build the command out of them as well. Slightly surprised that that's not a box of 6, based on the sizes of the other boxes. A little bit surprised there, but perhaps that's just to do with what was in the army box, maybe, because you only got 3 chariots. Who knows? Perhaps it's to do with that. There are also some returning metal models. 3 returning metals by the looks of it. Prince of Pothas, the old whip-wielding Necrotect, and a Tomb King on Chariot. The Tomb King on Chariot was probably the one that most people were surprised wasn't out before this, wasn't sort of released with the game, because it is such a quintessential piece of, the Tomb King army, to have your king on a chariot, riding with his other chariot buddies, but he's now back and will very soon be available. Now, just quickly while we're on the metals, there are a few more Tomb King units coming back as well, but just while we're on the metals, there were a couple that, weirdly, they didn't mention in the article at all, but that were in the video that was on the article, and they were the Casket of Souls and the Bone Giant. Now, because they're not in the article, it doesn't actually say if they're metal, if they've been redone in Forge World resin, so not 100% sure. I would guess metal, although something in the back of my head says that they mentioned in an article a little while ago that the casket had been redone in Forge World resin with some sort of extra details in it, so perhaps that's resin, perhaps Bone Giant is as well, or the Necrolith Colossus, to give it its proper name, but maybe that one's metal. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see on Saturday for that one. But yeah, those are also returning. And the final things returning for the Tomb Kings, now these have been remastered, as they've put it, in Forge World resin. And this is the Tomb Scorpion, which I'm sure will be very popular given their rules, the Screaming Skull Catapult, and the Carrion. Now, you actually get the Carrion in a set of 3, a box of 3. 2 of them were, or 2 of the sculpts are the old sculpts, but they're actually one brand new pose that was designed to match the original, so it'll blend in, but you do get a 3rd new pose in there, which I think is nice. It's a nice little addition. They also mentioned that actually they've retooled, as they've sort of made them resin molds, they've retooled them, added some extra details, and I think crucially for the Scorpion, made them easier to build, easier to assemble, which is nice. I'm sure, to be honest, just being resin, it would be easier to assemble than it being metal, just purely because of the weight of it on those quite spindly little legs. But in the case of the catapult, they also mentioned that they've added in some more detail as well, which is nice. Just brings what is quite an old kit a little bit closer, a little bit sort of more up to modern kit standards, which I think is nice. It's a nice little addition. They didn't have to do it, I suppose, or you could be quite cynical and say, actually, maybe the mold broke and they did have to do it, so this is just their way of trying to, add something on and say, oh, look, we did this, when actually it was something they were forced to do. Who knows? I don't think we'll ever know, but, we can enjoy a nice, refreshed model with a little bit of extra detail, and hopefully that's considerably easier to build, because I've heard they were not easy, particularly the metal ones. But yeah, that's it for the Tomb Kings. A lot returning in this wave. Off the top of my head, I don't think, once these are all sort of back in the range, and that's actually something worth saying, I'm assuming, it reads like this in the article, that these are coming back to the range relatively permanently. These aren't just going to be a made-to-order basis or anything like that. This is a pre-order, they're coming back to the range sort of thing, which is very good. So I would suggest if, maybe you don't want to pick them up straight away, you're not sure exactly what you want, you won't have to do it and order it on Saturday. They will be coming back. Maybe they'll go out of stock for a little while if demand is particularly high, but they should be coming back. If I've read this article correctly, that's certainly how it comes across. But yeah, a lot coming back to the range there for the Tomb Kings, and I don't think there's anything else that is sort of not then in the range. Off the top of my head, I can't think of any of their kits or any units that they've got rules for that haven't got models. I could be wrong, but off the top of my head, I think that will be it. That will be their whole range out. So on to the Bretonnians then, And we are again starting with a brand new kit, and these are the Knights of the Realm on foot. Now, these come in a box of 20, so gives you, again, 2 command options there. So you can build 2 full sets of command out of that, so you can have 2 quite small units of 10, or you could go with 1 big unit of 20. You don't have to use the command. So you've got the options for sword and shield or great weapons on all of them as well. Like I said, we'll touch on the prices that we've seen a little bit later towards the end. But I'll definitely be picking up one of these boxes, 100%. I could see myself picking up 2 at some point. Maybe not on Saturday. Maybe I'll just order the 1, see what the kit's like, see what I want to do with it. If there's any sort of other kit I want to combine it with, something like that. Because they have said previously, I think when they first showed this off in October-ish time, that it was fully sort of customizable with the old like mounted Knights of the Realm / Knights Errant kit. So, you know, you can use the shields from that kit, you can use the heads from that kit, you can use the new heads from this on foot kit on your mounted knights. So a lot of options there. One thing I do think I'm going to do is swap the flag for the old mounted Knights of the Realm flag. I just prefer those flags massively. So I think I'll probably be doing that. I could, just looking at this picture now, I could actually use what would be the flag in this unit, the standard bearer, as my blessed triptych on my Ground Monk for my men-at-arms. So I might do that. Bit of a cutting and snipping and shaving and put that on him. That would probably make quite a cool little Ground Monk. But yes, anyway, I'm getting distracted. They're coming to the range finally, and that's a big one, I think. To have a kit that you showed off months before the game was released, before we even knew when the game was going to be released, you show off a kit and it's not available at launch, was a little bit disappointing, I'm not going to lie. I was really hoping that, you know, the new models particularly would be available day one. It's not the case. We've had to wait a little over a month, about 6 weeks or so, 5-6 weeks. But they are here now, and we'll be able to get them from Saturday. The next one up for the Bretonnians is a sort of old new model, which is the Bretonnian Lord on foot with his great weapon and his little squirey friend. I suppose he's probably a bit young to be a squire. His little helmet holder, we're going to call him, next to him. So this was an old Games Day model, actually, or was planned as a Games Day model. I believe it was the year that the Chaos Warrior, Chaos Lord, whatever he was, with 2 axes, I believe it was that year, when he was the Games Day model. This was the other sort of option that they had. So I actually have that Chaos Warrior somewhere. I went to Games Day that year, I think, or I got it online after, maybe. I think I went that year. Anyway, again, getting distracted. I do really like the detail on this Lord's clothing, like his cape, his sort of tabard, even on the sword, to be fair. The face, I'm not so sure about, to be honest. Maybe it's, you know, the angle of the photo, the lighting, something like that. I'll probably get one. Again, depends on the price, but I'll probably get one at some point, because I think it'd be nice to have more than it'd be nice to use in a game. It's probably just something I'll, you know, keep on the shelf. Maybe it'll get painted, probably not, but who knows. I touched on them earlier, but a returning kit is the Knights of the Realm, the mounted Knights of the Realm / Knights Errant. So these are now going to be coming in a box of 12. Now, I've got to say, I don't remember. I did play Fantasy at the time when they would have been out and on the shelves, but I don't remember what size they came in back in 8th edition, or it would have been the 6th edition boxes, but, you know, when 8th edition was supported, when it was around in stores, in Games Workshop stores, I don't remember what size boxes they came in. I'm going to guess it was 6, a box of 6, but I could be wrong. Let me know if I am wrong. But yeah, they're going to now be in a box of 12. Again, with 2 lots of command. You can either, as you always could, either build them as Knights of the Realm with the more fancy helmets, or the Knights Errant with no helmet, or the very basic ones. Really nice kit, absolute staple of the Bretonnian army. It's been really hard, I would imagine, well, impossible, I would say, for someone to start a Bretonnian army without getting the army box. It's the only way currently, and up until Saturday, it's the only way you could get mounted Bretonnian Knights, any Bretonnian Knights. So yeah, real, you know, not a shocker that these guys are coming back, but nice that they've done it relatively soon after the release of the game. So on to the metals for Bretonnia then, or the returning metals, shall we say. And we are getting the final type of knight that either isn't already out or hasn't already been mentioned, and that is the old questing knights. I am so glad this kit is coming back. It is an absolutely gorgeous kit, particularly for how old it is, but like one of the other kits, which is also returning, which I'll touch on in a second, this kit has aged really well, I think. All the detail you get on it, the flag in particular, and I've got to say, it's painted in the GWR, it is painted really, really well. All of the models are, to be fair. I absolutely love these models. Obviously, the horses are still plastic, it's the riders that are metal. Big fan. Looks like you're going to be getting two, a bit like we've got the Grail Knights, you're getting sort of two boxes, effectively a box of 3 regular, rank and file questing knights, and then a command box as well, separately, so you can either add to your unit, or you can start another unit with a second lot of command. Gives you that option. You don't have to buy models that you don't need. Nice way to do it. I don't actually think these guys are on the price list. Just quickly looking at it, no, they're not. So I would guess these are going to be the same prices as the sets of 3 Grail Knights, which off the top of my head I think are £36. I think it's £12 per night. I'd guess they'd be probably the same price. Could be wrong though. But I'd expect them to be about that. The other metal unit that's returning, and this is returning from a long while ago, is the Bretonnian Squires and the Squires Command. So again, a bit like the Questing Knights, it looks like you're going to get these in 2 sets. You're going to get a set of 3, which is the Command, and then you're going to get, by the looks of the picture, a unit of 6 Squires with no Command. No real idea on how much these guys will be. Nothing to really compare them to. But I'll be honest, these are models I hadn't really seen too much of before. But looking at the picture that they've got on the article, I actually think they're quite nice. I'm definitely going to be picking some of these up. Whether they'll get a lot of use is yet to be seen. But I do really like the models. I think they're that perfect combination of really quick and easy to paint, but detailed enough that they don't just look plain and boring, which I've got to say, I think a lot of the Bretonnian range handles that quite well. Some of it is really busy, like the Questing Knights, but it sort of works for them. Even the Grail Knights, they're not actually that busy with the detail. They have quite a bit of fine detail, and particularly if you go into the sort of freehand elements of the heraldry and things like that, you can make them look really detailed. Which, makes sense for Grail Knights. But the Knights of the Realm, the Knights Errant, they're actually relatively plain models that you can then embellish as much as you want to embellish them, which I really like. I think that's a brilliant way to do models compared to the very, very, very busy new models that we sort of are used to these days. But yeah, definitely going to be picking myself up some of these. Depends on price, but I'll probably get a couple of each of the boxes. Couple of sets of command, maybe only one set of command, and then a couple of the units of 6. So I've got some options when it comes to unit sizes. But on to characters, and we've got 2 prophetesses. So one of these is mounted and one on foot. We got the made to order, a couple of weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago, of the older style of damsel / prophetess. So now it looks like these ones are coming back to the range sort of full time. I prefer these ones. I didn't get any of the other damsels on the made to order because I do prefer this style. So I'm glad it's these ones that are coming back personally. The on foot one, I think particularly, is a very, very nice sculpt. From what I understand, this is actually the sort of core of it is the same sculpt as the very old or much older one, but just with more on it, more detail. I think the sort of outer cloak has been added, and then more sort of details around her sort of belt and little trinkets and things that she's got. But I just think it finishes off the model so well. The other metal model that's returning, metal character that's returning, is probably the best model Games Workshop have ever made, I think. And that is, of course, the Green Knight. Definitely top 5 models they've ever made. He is coincidentally as old as me, but he has certainly aged a hell of a lot better than I have. He is fantastic. I absolutely adore this model. I've got a fine cast one that's been beautifully painted, I must say, not by myself, which I'm very happy with. I might still get a metal one. To be honest, his horse is really nice just to use as like a duke or a baron's horse, just because it's quite fancy. The barding and the sort of fabric over it is much fancier than a regular horse, so stands out like that. His sword is very nice. His shield is very sort of unique to him, so if I did convert him, maybe I wouldn't use that. But yeah, a lovely, lovely model. I will almost certainly be getting one of him. And the other model, a bit like with the Tomb Kings, there was one model that they weirdly didn't sort of mention in the article, but was in the video, and that is the Duke/Baron on Royal Pegasus. So this is the guy from the army box that we've seen before. A lot of you have probably got your hands on him already. He is coming out separately. You're going to be able to get him separately for the first time. Now, we can already get the Paladin BSB on Pegasus. I've got one still on sprue sitting next to me right now. Not done anything with it. But we are now going to be able to get the Duke/Baron as well. So again, really just rounds out the Bretonnians range. I don't think, below with the Tomb Kings, I don't think there's anything now that hasn't been or wouldn't have been released for the Bretonnians once we get this wave. Off the top of my head, I'm pretty sure that's it. Maybe we'll see, I don't know, because I suppose actually we've not got any, apart from that Forge World on foot and mounted BSB kit, we've not actually got any horse mounted characters at all. You know, combat characters. We've got the wizard, but not that sort of in the range full time anyway. They did, I think, 2 or 3 different ones in the made to order, but none that are sort of in the range full time. So perhaps we'll see, you know, maybe a third wave of Bretonnians and perhaps Tomb Kings just to finally round out their options. Who knows? Maybe it'll just be 1 or 2 models. It won't be sort of a big release like this. Maybe they'll be tacked on something else. Don't know, but it feels like there are possibly a couple of holes, of gaps in the range that could do with being filled before they truly move on to the next army. Though I'm sure, like all of you at home, I'm the same, you know, really looking forward to when they move on and hoping they move on reasonably quickly, as much as I love my Bretonnians, hoping they move on to the next faction and factions pretty quickly so we can get a real good steady stream of releases for the old world going forwards. Just before I go though, I did want to touch on some prices. Now, like I said, these were leaked, I'll be honest, basically immediately. As soon as the Warhammer Community article came up, this picture that I've got in front of me and that should be in front of you was also leaked. Now, it's not got the prices for everything, just a few, and it's worth noting the prices are in US dollars as far as I'm aware. So the Knights of the Realm, so these are the mounted Knights of the Realm, the box of 12, they are looking like they're going to be $60. So obviously not an exact science converting that to pounds, but that's roughly £47, £48. So you could see this being maybe 45, maybe 50, somewhere around that mark. Quite a lot, but 12 Knights should see you, you know, a fair of the way towards your minimum core allowance. So perhaps you'll get enough core in, you know, maybe £80, perhaps, if you go for a box of peasants as well. Actually, that's a very good point. Peasants. You can't actually get peasants separately still. So unless, you know, they are going to be included in this, the Old Men at Arms box and the Peasant Bowman, Peasant Archer box, I'm fairly certain they're not already in the range. I'm pretty sure they're not. If they are, then, you know, I've got too many of them anyway, so I haven't really looked. But if they are, let me know if I've made a mistake there. But I don't actually think they've been released separately. So perhaps we are getting another wave for at least the Bretonnians, I guess. Because like I say, I can't think of anything for the Tomb Kings. So yeah, perhaps we are. Who knows? Anyway, back to the point. Maybe you'll get most of your core, I would have thought, out of that sort of $60, 45 to £50 box of Knights of the Realm. You will need a little bit more because you will need the peasants if you're going for the Grand Army, but you shouldn't need too much more. Speaking of knights, that 20-man box of Knights of the Realms on foot, that's going to be $80 by the looks of it. So we're roughly talking £60, maybe 65, something like that. A little more expensive. Obviously, you do get more models, but they are smaller because they're on foot. It's a touch more than I was hoping it would be, to be honest with you. I was hoping it would be 50, but maybe I was living in a dream world. Who knows? The Skeleton Horsemen are the Tomb King Skeleton Horsemen. They're the same as the Knights of the Realm on foot, but you do get 4 more of them. You do get 16 of them. They're looking like the same price. And the Skeleton Warriors and the Skeleton Chariots, they're looking at the same price as the Knights of the Realm on foot. So 60-ish pounds if we're just going off the exchange rate. Not always the best way to do it, it's worth saying, with Games Workshop. They don't always just stick to exchange rates. Generally, the pound seems to be a little bit, or their equivalent in pounds seems to be a little bit lower. So maybe we'll see them at 50. Maybe that's going to be the price point. Who knows? We'll have to wait and see on Saturday. But the big one, the only big model that we've got here for the old board anyway, on this little leaked price sheet, is the Tomb King on the Bone Dragon. And he is going to be $100. So that's going to, well, if we go off the exchange rate again, that's going to be sort of about £80, 75, £80. Could be a little bit, could be surprised there. It could be 70, 75. We'll have to wait and see. But to be honest, that's still, well, that is a lot more than I was expecting it to be. I was expecting sort of 65, to be honest. But maybe we'll be pleasantly surprised. Who knows? Let me know what you think down below. What you think, or what you're expecting the prices to be when these things came back out and were released on their own in the case of the Bone Dragon. Let me know what you think of the prices, what you're thinking of ordering, if you're thinking of ordering any of it, and what you are most looking forward to in terms of a third wave, potentially. Are we going to see, is there any Tomb King models I've forgotten about that they could bring back in a third wave? Are there any other Bretonnian models they could bring back in a third wave? Let me know down below. And I'm sure, like a lot of you out there, I will be desperately refreshing the Games Workshop web store on Saturday morning to try and pre-order what I want straight away so I can get it in my hands, get it built, get it painted, and get it on the channel for you guys to see. But thank you for joining me today here on Triple Crown Wargaming. If you liked what you've heard, me ranting at you for the last half an hour or so, then make sure you hit that subscribe button. If you haven't already, hit the little bell as well so you get notified whenever we post a new video. Check out our community tab on YouTube as well. That gives you our schedule for all of our regular releases, and you'll see on there that if you do want to sign up as a Knight of the Realm, which you can do over on triplecrownwargaming.com, you get loads more content every month. So head over there, that's triplecrownwargaming.com, sign up as a Knight of the Realm today, and get access to loads of extra content, new content every month, as well as our back catalogue of content. But yeah, thank you for joining me here today, and hopefully I will see you next time.
Remember to tag your friends and like, subscribe and share. Then head over to triplecrownwargaming.com and become a Knight of the Realm today.
What are you doing, mate?
You alright?
Do it for Warhammer!